And so we partner with these schools and universities. So the two that we're here to talk about tonight, one is actually located in New York City, in Brooklyn, and on Long Island. And then we have another one that is located in Albany and Troy. You don't travel to their campuses. You engage in these programs in remote locations that we set up. So we make sure that the partners are high quality, and you'll hear about that a little bit tonight, like the fact that these are accredited, amazing institutions that do great work. You'll talk about the convenience of not having to actually travel to a campus, which is really amazing. We make sure that the programs are practical. When I say practical, it's related to what you're doing in the field, right? So we like to mesh very clearly the sort of, for lack of a better term, the ivory tower component, the philosophical underpinnings with the practical application. What are you actually doing in schools? The other thing we do is we negotiate the lowest price point in the state. Each one of these programs is the lowest price point in the state. You cannot get a less expensive program. It represents a significant discount for those who attend these programs on their campuses. So by attending one of ours, you get a substantial discount. You might say, how does CITE do that? If it's, and it's, by the way, it's the same program and in many ways better. You get a lot of other supports with us that you don't get on the campus. And that's not to say that there's anything wrong with what's going on the campus, but because we're in a remote location, meaning we're not on their campuses, we serve a greater number of students. You've got support with people like Mia, Tom, Diane, myself. The models are a little different. And you say, how do we do that? Well, one, we negotiate that price with them. And the second part is we don't have the overhead that the colleges have. We don't have a campus, right? We rent space. So we rent space in sometimes in colleges. We'll rent space in high schools. We'll rent space in hotels and conference rooms, depending. And we actually have some of our own classrooms. So you, depending on where you live and the site that you select, you could attend classes in these other locations. So one of the things that you'll hear about when you hear about our programs is this leadership pipeline. And we really have built that out. So there is some of you, obviously, you're all teachers. You don't qualify for the program if you haven't been a teacher. We actually train a lot of people to be teachers. Then we obviously do the training for school building and school district leader. And then you can enter into one of our doctoral programs. You say, oh, that's great, and it is great. And the partners are different. So you could get different experiences if you, let's say you went into one of our programs in teacher ed, it's with College of Mount St. Vincent. And then you enter one of the other programs and it's for school building, school district leader. It's either with Russell Sage College or it's with St. Joseph's University. And then you want to get a doctorate. We have two partners there. You could enter with Russell Sage College or St. Peter's University. All of them run really strong, amazing programs. And all of them in particular, we've set it up just like what you're looking at on this screen. These are the components that we've developed and put into all of our programs. I think I have the wrong presentation up. Nope. We make sure that it's a blended delivery approach. We make sure that you're going to get synchronous learning, you're going to get in-person learning, and you're going to have some asynchronous. We make sure that it's broad and sustained support. So all the people that you see here, and as you can read through this, we want to make sure that too it's focused on your workplace. It's not going to be just focused on the things that you do sort of in the classroom. And we want to make sure that you're aware of that. Right. So why would you choose one of our programs? So these are really the four primary components that I've talked about, and I'll continue to share. But let's look at the slide the portion of the slide that talks about the shortage. So 25% of all schools in the state, 25%, that's 1 in 4, will need a new administrator or more in the coming years. Almost every year, it's 25% or higher. And you say sometimes it's the principal that leaves. Well, then the assistant principal moves into that role and they're looking for assistant principals. So there is a huge need for leaders. 25% of all administrators statewide are psych grads, which is a shocking number. It's actually, we actually think it's closer to 35% now. We're digging into that research to make sure that we know that. I like to put up the number that we know. So you go anywhere and you're going to run into, and you meet administrators, you're going to run into psych grads. You're going to find people that have been through our program over the years. And part of that is because we have this really broad-based alumni. I as an adjunct in the program, I hired psych grads when I was superintendent of Staten Island. I also hired psych grads when I was on Long Island. So over the years, I've hired dozens of psych grads. And you say, why? Why would I do that? Aside from loyalty and commitment to site and the programs, it had a lot to do with the fact that I knew they knew what they were doing when they came in and got hired. They were going to come in and know exactly what to do. So they had the philosophical underpinnings and the practical application, and boom, I could give them an assignment and they would know how to go out and tackle that assignment. So it's really designed for success. So talking about that alumni network and the percentages, and I'm not going to read this for you. You can read this on your own. And by the way, we will send this presentation out to you so that you can have it, so you don't have to take notes or take pictures or anything. Although you can, but Tom will send this out and make sure all of you get it. But you can look at the alumni. The current chancellor is an alumni. If you're in New York City, the current chancellor of the previous chancellor was an alumni. The superintendent of Eastern Suffolk BOCES is an alumni. Superintendents all over the city and the state are alumni. Um, and as you can see, the number of principals and assistant principals statewide, the numbers are really pretty staggering. What does that mean to you? Aside from that contact and communication, that means you know when you complete, you're going to be marketable for a position. You're going to get a job as a school leader. So the program components, oh, by the way, of the superintendents in New York City, there are about 30 superintendents in New York City beyond the chancellor. Of those 30 superintendents, half of them are psych grads. A full half of them are psych grads. It's actually pretty amazing. So the program components, and I'm telling you what I'm going to tell you here. These are the four program components, and I'm going to review with you tonight. And then I'm going to go through those program components. By the way, these components are going to be true for both programs. So we're here tonight, and we're talking about two different programs. One is St. Joseph's University, New York. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a campus in Brooklyn, there's a campus on Long Island. You don't have to attend those campuses. And there's the other program is with Russell Sage College. There are some differences, and you're going to want to hear about those differences so that you can pick which one you'd like to apply for and then ultimately attend. So the key elements of the curriculum, and this is true in all of them. And how do we know this? We didn't just pick these schools. We were actually involved in the development of the programs with them. Part of the reason that I work for CITE is because I have that background and experience. I'm actually an associate professor at Russell Sage, staff over at St. Joe's. So we have direct input. And from practical experience as a superintendent, a principal, assistant principal, my engagement with just hundreds of folks like you, I know what people are looking for and what they need in the system. So we sat down with them and we designed these elements. And those elements are really important to you. So the hands-on experiences is really important. You're going to be doing internships and field work. I think that's a real critical component. Sort of the book learning is important to you, but the engagement and conversations about what you're learning in those books is really critical to your success when you get in. I remember when I first went through my school district school building leadership program, and it was good. Um, when I first had my first position as a principal, I didn't know what I didn't know because I didn't really have much of an internship. So my first couple of years was really just I was in full sprint all the time trying to figure things out. Our goal was to give you a lot of those experiences in advance, much related to the actual type of work you'll be doing, not just supervising the cafeteria, field trips and things. Those are important, but there's a lot of other work, and the field changes. Parent engagement, student engagement, adult learning, working with teachers, professional development, state mandates, all of those things will be built into your internships. The cohort model. Site is pretty famous for its cohort model. I didn't develop the cohort model. And it's not like Site developed it, except that they've really honed in on it. And it's really a solid component. One of the reasons that we have a 97% completion rate, on-time completion rate, people that come through our program, these programs you enter, 97% on-time completion. The average, folks, the average is about 57%. So we're 40% higher. It is the cohort model. There's no doubt in my mind, the research is clear. I'm not going to read the research to you. You see it right here on the screen. You're almost 4 times as likely to complete on time if you're in a cohort. And this is a very well-designed cohort with projects and application in the classroom to bring you together as a cohort. So when you look at the models that we have out there for the hybrid component, we build it very specifically so that your cohort, you come together and bond. I will tell you, my cohort, when I did my doctorate, which was 20 years ago, uh, I am still in communication with those folks, and they didn't do a whole lot to bring us together. We just brought ourselves together. Um, Literally, I talked to some folks from that cohort almost weekly. We have dinner frequently as a group. We call, it's a docs dinner. So we all get together, we have dinner, and we really supported each other as we went through the program because over the time that you're in one of these programs, things happen, right?
¿verdad?
Life happens,
Es que ella es
somebody,
la que trabaja y hace todo y el esposo no.
I'm sorry, could you mute, please? Thank you. Whether or not somebody, changes jobs, somebody has to move, somebody, and you're there to support each other and help each other. Sometimes your car breaks down and you need a ride to something. People pick each other up. We have shared readings. I mean, there's all kinds of things. So the cohort model is really critical to your success, and we keep you on cohort. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that in a second. Program components are this. All classes meet on the weekends. There are no weekday classes. So I don't want you to be concerned about that. And then when I first started one of my programs, I had to go in Tuesdays and Thursdays. I had too many other things to do. Teaching. Now I'm trying to go to class. I have a family. I actually had a part-time job because I didn't make enough money teaching. So I couldn't. So I stopped. And I couldn't go back until they ran the weekend program. This one is even a little more beneficial, meaning only 40% of your classes are in person. So our classes are 5 weekends. So for a course, you go 5 weekends. And 2 of those would be in person, and 3 of those would be virtual, like this, synchronous. And with the in-person classes are run in locations that are convenient to you. So coming this fall, we will have locations on Long Island, Suffolk County, Nassau County, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Staten Island, and Westchester. So all of those areas, and you get to select one of those areas where you would attend in person so that it is regionally convenient for you. So then when you're synchronous, it doesn't matter, obviously, where you're located. We actually have some folks in one of our doctoral programs that are in Colorado. We're branching out into New Jersey and Philadelphia. So there is a part and parcel that, and that's one of the reasons that this is really, when we say convenient for you, it's really important that that occurs. These programs prepare you for both the SBL and SDL. All right. So as you go through, it's designed so that that occurs. And throughout the time, there are seminars offered to you so that you can pass any necessary tests. Okay. We want to make sure that you have an opportunity, not because you do have to pass tests and then get a recommendation to the state. So you'll take the coursework. Then there's a state test, which we prepare you for. And that's at no cost. That's one of the benefits that you get with us that you don't necessarily get on campus. And what that does for you, and the people that do that for us actually score the test. They know exactly what's on the test. Okay, so just so you're aware, you're getting preparation for the test. And the state knows we do this. This is 100%. That's what you should do. You don't tell people to take a driver's test without telling them what they're going to have to do when they take the driver's test. Okay. It takes about 2 years to complete the program. Okay. So these are the 2 programs side by side. You can see them. Big difference is if there is one of the biggest differences, actually the big difference, one of the biggest differences is the St. Joseph's program is a full master's program. It's 33 credits. The Russell Sage program is a certificate of advanced study. It is not a master's program. That's 30 credits. Both programs take the same amount of time to complete. So as you can see, there are 5 semesters. It takes the same amount of time to complete. They're just laid out a little differently. And it really depends on your personal preference. So it comes down to, how do you want to approach this? So some of the differences here, as you can see, is if you're looking at St. Joseph's, is the internship is based on what we would refer to as a traditional model. There are two internships near the end of the program where you're engaged, you're really immersed in schools, and you're working on your internship both as a school building leader and then as a school district leader. And I'm not going to get into the details around what the internship involves. What'll happen after this type of meeting, when you pick a program that you want to apply to, we'll run an open house and really get into details if you're really interested in all of the details associated with the internship and the course structures and things of that nature. Over with the Russell Sage program, internships are built in as you go. So every semester you have to do 100 hours, except for when you get near the end. And then there are two 150-hour internships. So they're laid out differently. And I think those are two of the biggest differences. One's a full master's program, the other is a CAS, and one has internships built in throughout, and the other one has internships in an immersion model. So those are two different types of internship models. There is no right way. There is a way that works best for you because there are different learning styles. You also have different types of duties and responsibilities depending on your current position. And how does that look for you and how does that work for you? So here's another difference that you should be aware of, and it is actually the start time. Like, when does the program start? So in the fall, the program for Russell Sage starts, as you can see, in September. So you have to apply. There's an application deadline, September 12th. You have to get all of your documents in by September 19th, and then on September 20th or 21st. And it says two different dates because it's Saturday or Sunday. Okay. So with the Russell Sage program, you could pick Saturday or Sunday. Okay. You have to stay with that day so you can stay with your cohort. So if you pick Brooklyn Saturday, you stay Brooklyn Saturday the entire time you're in the program. And people really like that. They like that consistency. And then you begin the courses, as you can see. And this is the actual fall calendar. We will give you the calendar for the entire duration of the program once you decide to apply. Now, not that it's a secret, that's just too much information to put on. If you show up at one of our other open houses, let's say you show up at the Russell Sage open house, you'll see the whole calendar. And the same thing would be true for um, St. Joseph's, but I will tell you that they mirror one another except for the first semester. So the days, as you can see, when you get into November 1st, yeah, as you can see, when you get to November 1st, there are courses, and then you see November 8th, there's coursework. So 602, which starts here, you can see 501 starts over here. So they run at the same time. So you're going to, there's not a lot of differences. By the way, in both programs, you really can't miss class. As you can see, one class for a course is 20%. Right? You really need to attend class. That's one of the reasons we share the calendar for the duration of the program. So then if your September doesn't work for you, you say, I can't do this in September. I really can't get the paperwork in time. That doesn't work for me. Or I'd rather not be doing that right as school starts. I have too many other things going on. You can start later. As you can see, November 1st is when you would start for the St. Joe's program. And you still complete in 5 semesters. There is no difference in the completion timeline. Here's what you need for admissions. This is true for both. You have to have a master's degree from an accredited university or college. You have to be teaching for 3 years. Now, that said, there are exceptions. If you haven't completed teaching 3 years, if you will be completed teaching 3 years by the end of the program, we will admit you. Now, you may say, why? Why is that? Why can't I just become an administrator? It's actually a state requirement. You must be teaching at least 3 years before you can become a certified administrator. You just can't. And so you can't get your recommendation from the college. So we don't allow folks to enter the program if they're not ready. You have to get 3 letters of recommendation, at least one from your immediate supervisor, whoever that may be. The other 2 can be professional recommendations. All right. So they could be from a fellow teacher. They could be from a union rep. They could be from somebody that you worked with prior. They could be from a college professor. It could be from you get the pick. Okay. You will need internship support. You'll get a form from us that says, you're going to give it to your building principal or assistant principal, and they're going to say, yes, I support their internship. And when they sign that, that means they're saying you're going to be able to do your internship in this school. Okay. And we haven't had anybody have a problem with that. They all get that support. When I was principal, I loved getting interns. It's a lot of extra support. I actually liked working with them. I liked engaging with them. I like supporting their work. But there's also extra hands. There's a lot of work that people do. I remember when I did one of my internships, they said to me, because later I had to do one, um, could you start up the computer lab? Believe it or not, I was around before computers were in schools. And they rolled a bunch of computers in and said, "Oh, he's young. He'll know what to do with these." I had no idea what to do, but I did develop a program, and that was part of one of my internships. So it worked out really well. And you have to get in official transcripts. Okay. So the schools will accept unofficial transcripts initially. And by the way, it's easy to get transcripts. It's online. You put it in the system, and they get delivered to the school directly. It's really not a big deal. But if for some reason that's challenging, and for some people it is, and why? So some people maybe went to did their masters overseas. And we do get that. And it may take a little time for you to get those transcripts. So you can get what they call a provisional admission until the official transcripts arrive. You can be provisionally admitted. Works out just fine. So here's how they work side by side. So remember, I told you what I was going to tell you. I told you, and I'm going to tell you what I told you. All right. And here's where you really get to see what they look like side by side. So as you can see, each one of them is 5 full days. A course is 5 full days. Okay. There are synchronous classes. Yes, 60% of the classes are synchronous. 3 out of 5 classes are synchronous. This is synchronous learning right here. In person, 2 of the 5 classes. Same thing is true for both programs. There is a difference in the amount of time associated with the programs. The seat time application, one's 33 credits and one's 30 credits. But as you can see, the in-person classes at St. Joseph's are 8:30 to 4, and at Russell Sage, they're 8 to 4. So it's a 30-minute difference. It has to do with the way the internships are designed. The online classes for St. Joseph's are 9 to 2, and for Russell Sage, they're 8 to 4. St. Joseph's will only run on Saturdays, but the Russell Sage will run on Saturdays or Sundays. We do know that people observe different Sabbaths, so we make sure that we run Sunday programs, and we do that. Right now, regionally, the St. Joseph's program will run at the Brooklyn campus. You will not have to attend the Long Island campus. It's the Brooklyn campus, simply because they have space there. It's actually walking distance to our other Brooklyn locations for Russell Sage. You can walk to either; they're that close. We will run in another region if there's a demand. So we will run on Long Island, Westchester, and Staten Island if there's a demand for the St. Joseph's program. Right now, the demand for the Russell Sage program is in these other locations. So we've been working with Russell Sage for about a year. We brought them in when College of St. Rose went out of business, and we're just joining with St. Joseph's now. So that's why you say, well, why do you have all these locations for Russell Sage, but not these locations for St. Joseph's? Because we're just opening with them. You would be, if you join the St. Joseph's program, you would be the first cohort. It's been a program for us. They've been around for years. I know lots of people who went through the St. Joseph's Educational Leadership Program. It's an outstanding program. So here again, they're side by side. The master's degree for St. Joseph's, 33 credits. Russell Sage is 30 credits, certificate of advanced studies, 5 semesters. It is a little shorter. It's 5 semesters, but it's a little shorter for St. Joseph's. And part of that is because the first semester, you don't start until November. You do go into summers, so you do have summer programming. The other one is 21 months. Now, this is as long as you stay in place. If you stay on track. Some people come off cohort for one reason or another. They have to miss a class. They have to change their cohort. It does happen periodically. So you could actually extend. It's not common, but it does occur. You can see the start times, both for fall starts, spring starts, and summer starts. There is no summer start for St. Joseph's yet. Again, if there's the demand, we will open it. And that's how we actually run our programs. We run programs based on student interest and demand and need in the field. Okay. Uh, St. Joseph's has a rolling admissions process. You will receive a decision about admission within 10 days. 10 business days, you're going to get a decision. There's no interview required. There's no interview required for the Russell Sage program, but they do something called batch and queue. They collect applications, they review them periodically, and they issue decisions. So theirs runs a little bit differently. So you wait a little bit longer to hear, but you would obviously hear prior to the start of the program. As you can see, the two different certifications, you come out of it, both of them with both certification requirements met, and the cost is identical. It's $425 a credit. There is no less expensive program. SUNYs and CUNYs, their tuition is higher. Uh, there are no other fees associated with this, but except for books, and then there is a graduation fee. The other thing is that I didn't mention here tonight is the tuition is frozen for the duration of the time you're in the program. You don't get any increases. If you've been in any other programs recently, you'll know that there are increases in tuition anywhere between 4 and 8% a year. Yours is frozen the entire time you're in the program, as long as you stay in the program. There are no other hidden fees associated with this. There is a book fee with both programs. There's a book fee, but I mean that's pretty normal, and it's a very nominal book fee. Uh, Generically, and I'll tell you generically, it's less than $400 for all of the books for the entire program, which is shockingly low. You could pay up to $100 per book. So it's less than that for the entire duration of the program. There are lots of other benefits associated with going with a program that's with CITE, an alumni association, seminars, networking, dinners, things of that nature. We would get into that a little bit more at an open house. But what I'll do now, first I'm going to ask you to complete the application. Did you put it in the chat? Did you put the link in the chat? Either Tom or Mia. If you click that link, okay.
Yep.
I don't know why I have these blue squigglies on my computer here.
Can you put the,
Do you need me to put the link in the chat?
I'm doing it. I just,
Okay. So if you click that link, this is what you're going to find. It's got a summary of the program, both of the programs. You can read through it again. And then it would ask you to, you want to read more, you can read more. All right. If you want to join the which program, you request information for that program. Okay. So you would navigate this. We're going to ask you to complete a survey. Why am I not seeing the survey? Here it is. So you complete the forms, depending on which one you're interested in, and that would give you access. And we'll make sure that you have all the information that you need to apply to the program. So now I'm going to go back and see if you have any questions. You see, I have a bunch of things open up here on my computer. I've been working all day. You would think remote is less. So the days I work remote, I actually spend more time doing it than other times. So what we'll do now is just open up the floor for questions. You don't have to, you can put them in the chat and somebody will answer them. Sometimes you read through some of them in the chat, or you can ask them verbally if you haven't gotten a response. You can raise your hand digitally, or you can raise your hand live and in person and just chime in. If you're ready to go, I think I see Teresa
Hi.
raised her hand. Hi, Teresa.
I have a question. Does holding the master's degree instead of the advanced certificate impact your chances of getting a job somewhere?
So I don't, there's no clear answer on that. if I were, I don't want to say what I would do as superintendent because I'm not trying to steer you to any one program or the other. Some people want the additional master's degree for other reasons other than marketability. Sometimes it's because your collective bargaining agreement as a teacher allows you to get an additional raise or stipend associated with that. Even as an assistant principal, you get an additional raise or stipend with that. Sometimes folks don't plan to move on and enter into a doctoral program, so they like the idea. It's a value added idea of having a second master's degree. So, and I know any number of people. Typically, somewhere about 40% of the folks that go through a CAS program typically go into a master's program. But at Russell Sage, they don't have a master's program. So
Right.
you
Okay.
can't stay for the master's. So if you want the master's, you would have to go to the St. Joseph's program.
Okay. Because I already applied for the Russell Sage one. I didn't realize that there was another one that led to a master.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. I mean, you applied for the fall,
Yeah.
so that you could certainly apply for the St. Joseph's program, and just let Tom know that you'd like to move your name over from the Russell Sage program to the St. Joseph's program. He's at is it Tom at siteprograms.com, Tom?
Yes, it's in the chat in a few different places.
Okay. And they only do classes in Brooklyn.
St. Joe's for
Yes.
right.
Okay.
For St. Joe's just does classes in Brooklyn.
All right. Thank you.
Free parking, cafeteria. It's an easy location. It's beautiful.
All right.
If we had a demand to have another location, we would. So if we had a bunch of people say, "Hey, we would really like this," we all live in. 15 people say, "Listen, we live in Nassau County or Queens. We'll run a location there."
All right.
So it's really
Yeah.
going to come down to demand. Cynthia,
Hi, I was wondering if you find that there's like a difference in applying to like fall, summer, or spring, or what do you recommend which of the three to pick or how to pick one
I think it's
for
really a
Russell Sage?
personal preference. Honestly, a lot of times we find teachers that want to start in the fall because the school year starts. They start in the fall. So usually our largest group is in the fall. The spring is our second largest group, and the summer starts, meaning the summer starts. So is our smallest group, although that's a pretty large group. We'll have well over 100 people start in the summer. Sometimes we have up to 200 who start in the fall. It really is some people want to start in the summer because look, I got the summer off. I don't plan to work this summer. I can engage in my studies, get my feet on the ground, and then move forward with that. So really, it comes down to personal preference.
But no matter what, either of the three, you're always going to attend summer at some point, right?
That is correct.
Okay,
You are going
thank
to
you.
attend summers at some point because there are 5 consecutive semesters, including summers.
Okay.
You're welcome. Rena?
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for hosting this information session.
Sure.
My question is regarding I'm a central office employee
Okay.
in the DOE, and I'm also a former teacher, or former teacher and such. So I'm just thinking about which of these two programs do you think would be most suitable for a candidate that does work in a central office position?
Well, again, I think it's going to come down to your personal preference and your focus and of course your time. So when it comes down, like if you're in central office, and I'm just going to speak from my experience in central office. And I was in central office in the city, as well as out here on Long Island. And believe it or not, the fall is a slower time, right? For central office in some places, right? Some places it's really hectic. Building principal, the fall is really hectic, right? Teachers, the fall is really hectic. District office, the fall can be a little slower. The summers are hectic because you're getting ready for the fall. That was my experience. So it may be that you want to start first thing in September as opposed to waiting until November, because you may have a crunch in November with state reporting, end of the year state reporting. So it's really going to come down to the type of work that you do. And if you've got a crunch November, December, You don't might not want to be starting in November. You might say, "Oh, I'm glad I got my feet on the ground in September." So I think that that really is what that comes down to.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That was a good question. That was the first time I'd ever gotten that question. Any other questions? Dana.
Hi, Dr. James. I missed what you said about the preference between the master's and the certificate. Like I have my master's, I have an advanced certificate in educational technology.
Mm-hmm.
So what
So
would be the downfall of not going for the master's for this? Like, does it matter?
both programs qualify you for recommendation for certification. So you're going to go through both programs, either one. If you, no matter which one you picked, you're going to go through either one of those programs, and based on your attendance at those programs, you'll qualify for. You'll take the test, and then you'll qualify for recommendation for certification. So neither one uh, changes anything associated with you becoming a certified administrator. I will tell you that some people want the master's degree because it brings a salary increment for them. They move along in the columns. They want a second master's degree. It's something of interest to them. About 40% of the people that go through our CAS programs want a master's degree. Sage doesn't have a master's degree, so if you did want that, you would need to go to the St. Joe's program. So I
But
think it just is.
they're still graduate level courses, right? So I
Oh
mean,
yeah, they are graduate
I
level
could still
courses.
put
They're
in for the credits
oh
technically
sure, 100%.
for column
That is
movement.
right.
Okay.
Sure. Now, some places have a second master's and you get another column.
Oh yeah, not mine.
Yeah.
Okay, but
So
I could still
that
put
would
them in
be
as graduate courses.
yes,
Okay.
yes, and they would qualify as long as your collective bargaining agreement allows for that.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yes.
Reed.
Hi, another master's versus certificate question, but in terms
Mhm.
of the course load and coursework, is the only difference 3 additional credits for the master's?
That is accurate. That's the only difference is 3 additional credits for the masters, and we front load that first 3 credits. As you can see, we front loaded that first semester. Let me see if I can go back here. All right. So you'll see, with St. Joe's, this is the first semester. You just take the 3 credits; they're out of the way. What you'll see here, the way we do this is later in semester 4 and semester 5, you take the internship. There's no class associated with the internship. You take the internship and you still take 6 credits, but you're getting 3 credits for the internship. So there is no discernible difference in your course load.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Maria?
Hi, Dr. James, and hello, Tom. Um, I am currently one of the students in cohort 1 for the doctoral program.
Okay, I recognize your name
Okay, okay, great.
at the St. Peter's program.
At the St. Peter's program, yes.
Great.
But yes, okay, and it's been going great. For anybody who is hearing me and would love to be a part of this program, I can speak as an ambassador. It's wonderful.
Thank you, Maria.
You're welcome. But I'm one of those people, I guess, in a unique position because I do not have an SBL or SDL. And I have a few questions in terms of, do you think it would be feasible to do both programs, let's say in the fall, the St. Joseph's program, along with
And
the rest of the doctoral
first of all,
program?
there's two things that I think would be extremely challenging. One
Okay,
is scheduling,
okay,
and two, if you're working,
I
I
am.
don't think you'd have time. I don't think you could do both programs simultaneously.
Okay.
I just don't. Your course, first of all, your coursework is going to overlap, meaning the Saturday or Sunday programs, because the St. Peter's does have a Saturday component.
Yes, they
These
do.
programs both have either a Saturday or Sunday component. The workload would be, I think, pretty draconian,
Okay.
if you're a full-time student.
No,
Yeah,
I work also.
yeah.
So
If I were you, and what
yeah.
I can do, Maria, is at some point we can talk um, about how you can manage this once you're further along, and because you're going to have, once you start writing your dissertation, you're going to be really immersed in writing your dissertation. But we could talk about how we can get you that certification as you get closer to the end of the St. Peter's program.
Okay, I am actually at my proposal stage. I'm looking to go to IRB now. So
I remember that's IRB. Listen, if you're at IRB, you're in a good spot.
okay. Okay.
Good for you. Good for you.
So we can
Congratulations. For those of you who aren't in a doctoral program, getting to IRB is a great stage. You're really happy. And once you get approval from IRB, you're really happy. So good
okay.
for you, Maria. Good for you.
Thank you so much. And we definitely can talk at another time,
Sure.
one-on-one how I can proceed. Thanks again
You
for
got it.
everything. Wonderful program,
Thank you.
guys.
Dr.
Thanks,
James,
everybody.
somebody asked if we were going to send out the recording. Are we going to post it on the website?
I don't know if it'll be posted in full, but John will go through, our marketing people will go through the recording and truncate components of it. But yeah, there'll be parts of
Or
it posted. Tom, you're all frozen, buddy. Are there any other questions?
I actually have another one.
Sure.
In terms of like between the SBL and the SDL,
Mhm.
Can we
is it
send it
just
out to
a
them?
Tom, just you can mute if you don't mind. You're breaking up. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rena.
is it a matter of a difference of like a few credits? What does and or what does the certification process look like for SDL in comparison to the SBL?
So SBL is it's the first part of the program that you'll go through that part of the whole. Let me go see if I can get you here where I can show you. Here you go. So you go through here at Russell Sage. If you look at Russell Sage, you in essence qualify for school building leader certification at the end of semester 4. So at the end of semester 4, you qualify for school building leader certification. Semester 5, you need for school district leader certification. And this is a good point. I want to talk about something else briefly. The same thing is true for St. Joseph's. So at the end of semester 4, you qualify for school building. Semester 5 is school district. Now, that said, come 2030, let's say you say, oh, listen, I got my school building, I'm going to stop. Both of these programs are designed, and we're asking people to commit to completing the entire program. And here's why. 2030, and if you only have a school building leader certification, you will not be able to go into a school district leader certification program again. You would have to start over because it will become one certification. So starting 2030, the state has changed the regulations, and everybody will need one certification that will cover both school building and school district leadership. And here's another caveat. Right now, if you have school building, school district leader certification, which I do, you qualify to be an assistant principal, a principal, district office staff, or assistant superintendent or superintendent. 2030 comes, the new certification that you will, which is going to be the same number of credits as you see here, will not qualify you to be a superintendent or any title with a superintendent in it. So you couldn't be a school assistant superintendent, deputy superintendent, or superintendent. You would need, I'll shoot the messenger, 60 additional credits. So you'll have 30 to 33 now to get certified. You'd be qualified to be in any one of those positions. Anything from assistant principal all the way up to superintendent. Starting 2030, you would need these 30 or 33 credits plus 60 if you want to be a superintendent, which I think is outrageous, but I don't make the rules at the state. So we're really advising everybody to stay all the way through to do school building and school district leader certification. And then you're grandfathered in. Once 2030 hits, like you're in. Once you finish this program and have both SBL and SDL, you're qualified for the rest of your career to be a superintendent if that's what you decide to do, or work in district office. If you don't do that, come 2030, you're going to have to start the program over. Nobody's going to want to do that. That's going to create a real problem. They think they have a shortage now. They're really going to have a shortage then. And I've been in conversations with folks at the Board of Regents. I worked with them when they were superintendents in the city, and said, this is really going to create a problem for folks. If nothing else, you really need to look at, I'm telling them, the 60 credit component. If you tell people they're going to need 60 additional credits to become a superintendent, people aren't going to do it. They can't afford it. I mean, that's a huge expense to go in and take another 60 credits to be eligible to be a superintendent. I just think that's outrageous. So far, they haven't budged, and we've been advocating, but they haven't budged. Samantha.
Yes. Hi. So I'm looking at the two programs side by side, and
Okay.
the Sage one, I'm looking at the internship hours, right? The
Sure.
Sage one is, my math right, 600 hours.
Yes. Mhm.
And then the St. Joe's one, where is, or is there even an additional 300 hours? Is it in the semester 5, as you were saying before?
Yeah, my apologies. You are right. It is here under school district internship in semester 5. I should put 300 hours there. Yes, there are an additional 300. So both are 600 hours.
Okay.
Okay.
And thank you for answering that. And one more question. The semester 1 course, you said that was front loaded. So was that the first St. Joe's? It's just like if it starts in November, for instance,
Yes.
that November to what, December, or how is that going to look like for just that one
Yes.
class?
That is exactly right. As you can see here, the last class is December 13th. Starts November 1st with an orientation. Your first class is on November 8th, and the last class is on December 13th, and you're finished the same way as you would if you were in the Russell Sage program. You
Just with that one extra class.
That's right.
Oh man, I'm trying to like compare the two programs, and it's to me it sounds like the St. Joe's one is just a little bit better, only because you get a master's and it's just one extra course, which is done in less than a month's time.
I can't advocate. They're both partners of ours. They both have benefits. What your personal preference is, I think a lot of people would agree.
And it's still going to be the same end time, or no.
Yes.
Sage would end before St. It would.
They both end at the same time. One starts later, and they both end at the same time.
Can you explain how? I'm sorry if you did already.
That's okay, because if you look here at the internships for semesters 4 and 5, the way the internships are designed, these semesters you take 9 credits, but there is no class here for the 300 internship. You take 300 internship hours and you take 6 credits. You do 300 internship hours and you take 6 credits in class. So in essence, you're sitting for 9 credits, but there's no seat time associated with the internship.
Okay.
Okay. That's how it gets truncated. Here, over here with this one here. So here's 6 credits. There is seat time, and you're doing the internship for the second internship. So although you have fewer hours to complete because you completed them here, some people don't want to do internship hours every semester. They would prefer to do them the 2 end semesters. So a lot of that is just your personal preference.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Shatira, I hope I said that right. Shatira?
Yes, correct. So I'm looking at the course titles and I'm just
comparing them and in my head just trying to conjure up like what is the difference between the two because the titles are very different. Um, is the pedagogy different? I don't like just I'm just trying to
Sure. So the delivery is very, very similar. So a lot
okay.
of the professors will be teaching in both programs, depending on their availability and where they get assigned. So with regard to delivery of instruction, you're going to get the same types of professors, you're going to get the same type of instruction, you're going to get the same types of activities and assignments. The curriculum is a little different. So if you
Mm,
came to an open house, you would hear a little bit more about the curriculum. This one here, let's look. I mean, I just did a couple of them. Ed leadership theory and practice, leadership for equity, mission vision. It's roughly the same type of course. It just has a different title. So it's the theory. You know, we didn't rewrite the titles at St. Joseph's. So supervision and curriculum and instruction, data literacy, classroom building, system level, data retrieval. How do you, in essence, look at what's going on in the classroom and use data to drive instruction? That's taught in both courses.
okay.
School administration. So as you look through, and are they paced a little differently? They may be, but by the end of the program, and I was really a big part of this, everybody will have this body of knowledge. It's the same for both programs. You'll have this body of knowledge. Did you get there in a different way? Yes. Yeah, that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. And by the way, it's like when you teach. If you're
Mm-hmm.
in, I'm making this up. You're a fourth grade teacher, and everybody needs to get from point A to point B. And if you're like 5 of you teaching on a grade level, that doesn't mean that all of you are teaching the same way or even at the same pace, right? However, the curriculum is designed in such a way, and by the way, that's a part of that is driven by the standards. So the all of these courses meet what they call PSEL, Professional Standards for Educational Leadership. All of them align with that. The second is they prepare you for the state test. So the state test is the same no matter what program you enter into. So we need to make sure that you're one, meeting the state standards, and two, you're prepared for the test. It's actually the same model that you use K to 12. It's got to take Regents exams. You may design the classwork differently, but everybody's got to pass the Regents. Right? Everybody has to have the curriculum. Everybody has to have the seat time. They just look a
Okay.
little different, if that makes sense.
And
Great.
then do so I know that for the SBL you mentioned that there are opportunities for us to like study to prepare for the exam. Is
Mhm.
that same opportunity available for the SDL as well?
Yes,
Okay.
100%.
Okay. Thank
Yep.
you.
We want to make sure. And by the way, those prep classes or seminars are free. Site pays for those, and you can take them as often as you need. You need to sit for it more than once. So sometimes people say, I did it once, but I'm not comfortable. I'm going to take it a second time." Okay. If you did it once and then for some reason don't pass the exam. By the way, I want to say it's like a 98% of the people that take the exam for that come through our program pass on the first try. Nobody doesn't pass. It just doesn't occur. It's like a rare occasion that somebody doesn't pass. But if you don't, for some reason, you take the prep class again. I've had people, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, take the prep class 2 or 3 times because they just want to be comfortable. Some people have test anxiety, so they want to take the prep class multiple times. So they're available for both. Dr. K,
Thank you.
sure. Dr. K, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, so I see another person here who has a doctorate, and um, I was a professor before too, so I'm trying to figure out how much of my time I want to devote to doing another, well, back in school as it is.
Mhm.
And I think Tom said I'm supposed to send him some emails. So I'm going to send, I could send some preliminary transcripts so I know exactly which program I want to do. I was looking at the SDL program, but I'm trying to figure out, do I need the SBL before I need the SDL? Or, it has to make sense to me because if I'm spending time and money on something, I need it to make a huge difference in terms of what my goals are.
Sure, makes perfect sense. You do need the SBL. Um, Neither of these programs will accept you for the SDL unless you have the SBL from St. Rose. If you have the St. SBL from St. Rose, Russell Sage will take you for the SDL. So we don't have a straight SDL program. I actually don't know anybody that has a straight SDL program. It's the SBL SDL 2030. It's a combined program at any rate, as I mentioned earlier, to get you there. So the doctorate that you have now, would that qualify you for the superintendent's? I don't know yet because the state hasn't published that information. So the SBL is necessary for you to complete.
Okay, so that answered half of my question, one of my questions.
Great.
Well, in terms of that, the other aspect of it, I think I'd asked a question in the chat, but just for the benefit of those who didn't get a chance to read it, I had to
Mhm.
do it that you only accept up to 6 credits. So my doctorate is in educational leadership. So I don't want to sit in a class where I'm bored repeating stuff I already did in my doctoral program.
I couldn't agree with you more. So you would have to submit that to pick a program that you want to apply to, submit your
Well, you just told me
transcripts.
SBL, so you told me I need to do the SBL, not the SDL, because you need the
Well,
SBL before the SDL.
you do, but if they're going to accept some of the credits, you may
Right.
have to take fewer classes.
Right. So what I'll do, okay, so would you just need a doctoral transcript or do you need all of my transcript? Because I also did a post-doc certificate in technology integration. I'm not sure if that's even going to be applied. So what transcripts do you need? So I don't
I I
spend
I,
money
I
on transcripts that I don't need.
I can't answer that question. It's going to come down to the school. But if you communicate with Tom, he'll help you with that and get you in touch with the proper persons at the schools, and they'll tell you what transcripts they want so that they can review them and they'll get back to you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Gabriella?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can, Gabriella. Thank you.
So for the San Joseph program, when we're doing the internship, is there going to be a class running at the same time, or if that semester or that month while the internship is going on, we're just focusing on the internship itself?
No, as you can see, let's just look at the school building leader right here, semester 4. You're doing 300-hour internship and you're taking 2 classes. So you're taking school business administration and educational assessment. So you're doing the internship, the requirements associated with the internship. You would get everybody, no matter which internship you're in, you get a mentor that site provides, somebody to help you put together your proposal, help you stay on track, help you submit the paperwork in a timely fashion, make sure that if you need help navigating your internship, they're there to support you. That's what part of our support network for you. You don't get that mentorship if you attend a program outside of site. You get a site supervisor, your building principal. But if you have any questions or concerns or need help with something, and you're with site, we give you a mentor. So you do have that extra support. So you're still taking 6 classes. You're not doing internships on the weekends. There is no class for the internship. You have to pay for the credits, but there's no class. You don't have to take a class. You don't take any coursework.
Got
So
it.
you do it. Yeah, if that makes sense to you. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
You got it. And
Hi. I'm just
hi,
curious to
Ann.
know what the internship experience looks like since we're working in schools. Like I'm a school psychologist.
Okay.
So is it like during the day? How does that work?
So from a practical perspective, the people do internship hours during the day. They do it before school. They do it during their free periods. They do it after school. It really comes down to the type of work that you're doing. Meaning you're, as you say, as a school psychologist, your day looks different than if you're a classroom teacher. It's also different if you're in an elementary school versus a high school. So it varies. You structure that time and you work with your site supervisor, your principal or assistant principal, whoever it is that you're working with, to design that in a way that you still have to meet your contractual obligations as a staff member.
Yeah.
But people work around that all the time. I did things, plenty of things before school. I would come in ahead of time and unless whatever it was that I was working on, and I booked hours that way. I did it on my lunch break. I did it after school. At one point, the principal gave me an assignment that was part of my work duties, but also counted toward my internship.
Okay.
All of the work that we ask you to do is aligned with the standards, as I mentioned, but it's also got to be practical for what it is that you need to learn and what your school needs. So we put through 600 people in internships a year. So we know how to work this. We can support you all the way through. Your mentors know what they're doing as well to make sure you can design this in a way that works for you.
And in terms of, I know the name is site supervisor, but like we have a supervisor of psychologist that works, you know, not in our school. Would they be able to supervise us as well, like
Yes.
virtually or?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so site it does sometimes get confusing. SITE. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
you'll have a site supervisor. That would be somebody, whether it's your psychologist supervisor, PPS
Yeah.
supervisor, or whether it's your assistant principal or your principal. We give you a mentor. That person's not supervising you. That person's supporting you.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
Dana.
But
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. You weren't finished.
no,
My
I was just gonna
apologies there.
say no, but I'm allowed to let's say get supervised, not the site supervisor, but get supervised by the supervisor psychologist, even though she's not in my building.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
But
All
we'll
right.
verify that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You got it. Dana Schultz.
Hi. So I have two questions. One is for the Russell Sage, the Suffolk location, I believe you said was Comac or Brookhaven. Is it,
Typically,
do we know like which one it's gonna be, or
No,
like
we
do
use
we get
different
to choose our
locations.
location?
Sorry, we use different locations anywhere from Comac to Brookhaven, different schools, different hotels. So they're typically very close to the LIE, so students can kind of just get off and get on. But we won't know until, really until the program is about to start, where it's going to be held.
But we could choose like Suffolk or
That you can choose,
Nassau.
yes, if you wanted to do Suffolk,
Okay.
Brooklyn, Westchester, or Nassau.
Okay.
That's an option, but to choose the exact location, you wouldn't be able to do that.
Gotcha. Okay. And then my second question was about the internship hours. So I'm both elementary and district wide in two positions.
Okay.
Can I do internships in different locations for, if I do Russell Sage, it's 50 per class. Can I do that in different locations with different people throughout the district?
yes. So typically, though, it would be two. One at the building in which you work, and the other would be in district office. So if you have district office, in particular, when you get to semester 5, we're going to ask your capstone project. Now, some people say, I can't go to district office. I'm doing this in my school. That's okay, because you can still do district-wide work. And we design this all the time with people. The vast majority of our people can't get to district office, but they do district level types of internship hours in their school building. If you're in a district office, that's great. That will support you.
So
You'll be able to,
I'm a K to 12 ed tech specialist. So I work in all the buildings and my coordinator of technology is my supervisor in that capacity. Does that count as a district office, or would I want to
yes.
do more like an assistant soup?
No, you wouldn't necessarily have an assistant suit that would be your supervisor. You might. I mean, if you have one, that's great. That would work with you because that's just going to increase your level of learning. Sometimes people work with department chairs that are district wide, or they work with a coordinator that's district wide, or they're just they're meeting the PSEL standards by working with their school principal for district level types of activities. So it's going to be personally designed to support your
Okay.
work.
Okay. So my district level. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. So I see some hands that are still raised. I'm not sure if you have additional questions. Rena, do you have another question?
Yes, it was somewhat similar variation. So for central office, I mean, in my role, I will be doing also supporting schools directly. So is that similar to the previous response where can I have the work that I do at the central office count towards internship hours? And if I can have the supervisor who will be signing off on my hours, does it have to be someone in my actual office of employment, or can it be someone at an actual school building?
So, I mean, it depends, but yes. So the short answer is yes, but we'd have to work through the details and get the specifics. But if you give, once you get a little closer, we'll work. There is no doubt in my mind we'll work this out. It's just a matter of who signs off and
Gotcha.
and how you do that. Okay.
And summer hours also, summers are also hours we
Sure.
can, okay, perfect.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. In fact,
Thank
you will almost assuredly have to
Mhm.
do some of this in the summer.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Dr. K, your hand is still up. I don't know if you have another question.
Oh Lord. Yeah, so the other question I had is in terms of diversity. I'm not sure if anybody answered it in the chat, but I want to know how diverse the faculty is in terms of who's doing the courses.
In what sense do you mean? Do you mean with regard to their work, their location, their race?
No, well, race mainly in terms of who's teaching the courses, because yes,
So,
they do the
I,
internship at different locations. I understand that, but in terms
yeah,
of faculty diversity, what is what does that look like, and in terms of faculty student ratio?
I'm going to try to answer this a couple different ways because I'm not really sure. So, if we're talking about racial makeup of our faculty, I don't have percentages, but I will tell you it's a pretty significant percentage that are people of color. That work in the city schools, that have worked in the city schools for years, that just engage in this work. With regard to diversity regarding where they've worked over time, we try to assign people from New York City to work with New York City people, Long Island people to work with Long Island people. We try to assign people that have district office experience to work with the district office program. We try to assign people with building level experience to work with the building level people. So with regard to those various demographics, I don't know if that answers your question. If I had to take a guess as to the racial makeup of our faculty, it's probably 60-40, 60% people of color. Are there any other questions?
Is Gabriella a new hand or has her hand been up?
No, it's a new question.
Okay, great.
Regarding the tuition, is there a difference in the tuition for someone that lives out of state, even though they work for the New York City Department of Education?
There is not. It's the same tuition for everybody. Um, Tuition, you do qualify for financial aid with regard to loans. There's no grants or anything like that from the schools, and there are payment plans available. But the tuition is the same, whether you're in state or out of state. These are private schools.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Dr. K, your hand's back up. You have another question?
No. I did not press that. I'm
Okay,
sorry. That was
thank you.
sorry.
No problem, no problem. All right, so this is what we do now. Mia, Tom, and I will stay on and continue to answer your questions. You feel free to log off if you feel like your needs have been met. Please complete the survey. We'll make sure that we send out the presentation from tonight. Once you complete the survey, you'll get an application. You can complete the application. You can attend another open house. I hope we were helpful tonight.